Bonjour, buenos dias, good morning. I'm very happy to welcome all of you to our Dean's talk, Innovating in the Post-Pandemic Era. I am very excited. I'm Joaquin Guerra. I am at TEC de Monterrey, Mexico, here in Monterrey, with the background of our rectory building with the mural and 35 degrees Celsius. So I don't know if it's good for you or not, but for us, it's a little bit hot. But enjoying the day. I'm very happy to be here. Today, as you know, we're going to have our Deans of Engineering talk in a way to share with all of you what we are doing as collaboration between the University of Ottawa and TEC de Monterrey, a relationship that has been going on for a long time, a relationship that we are all very excited to be part of, and the collaboration. So we'll have a good time in the next 60 minutes. Looking forward to the future of education, of the relationship between our universities, faculty collaboration, research, industry links, etc. You name it. So we'll have a period of discussion, 35 minutes, and then another 20 minutes for questions. Please post your questions on the Q&A area. Do that, please, and I'll go over them at the end. And there'll be also an opportunity if somebody wants to ask a question through voice, we'll give them the microphone so they can ask the question. But, to get started, without further ado, to welcome us, I want to thank, it's an honor to have with us the Consul of Canada in Monterrey, Sandra Sharik. Consul, thank you very much for your time. It's an honor to have you here. And I know you are very keen, very focused on fostering collaboration between Canada and Mexico, especially Monterrey. So thanks again. Please, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Joaquin, and you're absolutely right. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Muy buenos días a todos y todas. It's always really special to be invited to be a part of events organized by TEC de Monterrey and Canadian universities, and I really appreciate the invitation. To quickly introduce myself, my name is Sandra Shadik. I'm the Consul General of Canada in Monterrey, and I assumed my post in January 2020. And I cover 4 northern Mexican states, Tamaulipas, Nuevo León, Coahuila, and Chihuahua. And trade is our core mandate, and education among that is one of our primary focuses. And in particular, facilitating and supporting relationships between Canadian and Mexican institutions. And TEC Monterrey is one of our most valued partnerships, both in terms of depth and breadth and just overall excellence in the range of educational and research focuses that you have. And it's been a real pleasure to witness the ever deepening collaboration between the University of Ottawa and TEC de Monterrey. The Joint Seed Grant Program has been a really innovative way to catalyze international research collaborations. And it's an excellent example of the ways that U of O and TEC de Monterrey have been strengthening your relationship. The pandemic era, as everybody knows, has brought challenges on top of challenges. And I know the impacts have been really acute for the educational sector. And we have also seen innovations that will positively influence institutions and international collaborations in the years ahead. So my specialty is diplomacy. And we have experienced probably the biggest shakeup to how we do things in recent memory because of the pandemic. I don't think anybody's surprised to hear this, but it's a really traditional field, and protocol is often king. So sometimes the way we do things is very antiquated, but during this period where we weren't traveling, 2020, 2021, and periods in between, we've had to learn, like everybody else, to do things differently, often virtually. And I had 2 examples that I wanted to share. One is when ambassadors arrive in new countries or ambassador designates, one of the very first things you do is in person present your letters of credential saying that you've arrived in a country. and people weren't able to do this. So, you know, lots of angst, but being able to have credence letters presented virtually was a major innovation for diplomacy. And a second example is trade missions. And this is our bread and butter. We organize sort of 2 to 5 day periods where, you know, companies travel to us and have very intense meeting schedules, but we're now doing these virtually as well. And we've often stretched out the timing so that missions can take place over a couple of weeks or a month, maybe, instead of, you know, this intense period. So in the long term, we do plan to return to in-person missions, but this idea of having, you know, complementing presential interactions with virtual pieces is probably an innovation that we're going to keep. So I know that the innovations that you'll be discussing today are going to address larger and more sweeping issues, but I really do fundamentally believe that moments like this are our opportunities to evaluate how we've always done things and then identify opportunities for innovations that will make us more effective going forward. So with that, I wish you all the best in your discussions today, and really thank you so much for inviting me to offer these words of welcome. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Merci.
Merci, Sandra. Thank you. Gracias. We are very happy to have you here, and we look forward to the support of the Canadian government, of course, our government in Mexico, to continue moving forward the agenda of collaboration between Canada and Mexico, University of Ottawa, TEC de Monterrey. Thank you again, Sandra. And well, we continue. Welcome to stay, Sandra. We'll continue with the agenda. We have our deans from the engineering schools, faculties. I want just to introduce, first of all, Jacques Beauvais, Dean of the School of Engineering, University of Ottawa. Jacques, welcome. Great to have you with us. Thank you for sharing this time with us. And also, I'm going to introduce our Dean of the National School of Engineering and Science in TEC de Monterrey, Manuel Zertuche. Manuel, great to have you here. Welcome also. So what we're going to do is to start with a brief discussion of the Faculty of Engineering of University of Ottawa, School of Engineering and Sciences in Tec de Monterrey, just to briefly introduce that to us, and then we'll continue with other questions. We'll have around 3 minutes per, so each of you can discuss each of the questions. I'll try to keep time. You know, time is a master here. So please, I beg your pardon if I have to at some point interrupt you, cut you, because we need to move forward the agenda. It's good. I never get to tell a dean to get to be quiet. So this is my time to be able to do that. So I feel excited. So I'll try to do it very well, very nice, polite way. So anyways, let's get started. With Jacques. Jacques, please tell us about the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Ottawa.
Thank you very much, Joaquin, and thank you to everyone who's joining us today and helped us organize the event today. So to say just a few words about the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Ottawa, we have about 135 professors and we have about 7,000 students. And we currently host almost 5,000 undergraduate students, 30% of which are international students. And we have about 1,800 graduate students. Over 3/4 of them are international students right now. So we have programs that cover the spectrum of engineering, computer science areas. Close to half the faculty is in the information technology sector. And some of our strengths include professional training and academic programs, which we were able to revitalize in recent years internally and working with partners. And maybe an example is our digital transformation and innovation program at the grad level that we've really developed and offered in partnership with the business school here at uOttawa and the Faculty of Arts. And we've revitalizing it by adding user experience design and data science concentration. And recently we've really started to add industry certifications for our students and micro program in some specific areas, including AI and cybersecurity. And we really added new dimensions to our entrepreneurial ecosystem. I'd say we have amazing design spaces for our students in our STEM complex that opened in the fall of 2018, and we haven't had the chance to use them to the full capacity because the pandemic hit us not far after that, but they're becoming fully occupied again very recently. And we've been growing our research facilities too. We've had major financial support from the governments over the last 2 years in the areas of photonics, hydraulics research, advanced materials. And right now we're building Canada's top cyber range in partnership with IBM. So it's really excited. And we've opened a first research lab in the middle of Ottawa's Technology Park, which is the largest in Canada. And I'm hoping that's the first of many opportunities we're creating to bring our students in contact with industry. And maybe one other highlight, we've just created a new department, which is the School of Engineering, Design and Teaching Innovation, that hopefully is going to help us achieve several of our strategic objectives. And that school, in addition to the design courses, it really has the responsibility for professional skills training and several of our professional grad programs. So throughout all of that, we've really placed partnerships at the core of our mission and in support of the training our students. And the partnership with TEC de Monterrey is one of the key elements for us to be able to develop our strategies.
Excellent, Jacques. Thank you. Thank you. I remember I was 2 years ago, exactly right before the start of the pandemic, in February, February 2020, you have a beautiful campus. I was there, minus 17 degrees Celsius. So I cannot forget that moment because it was a beautiful campus, cold, but very warm with the people and all of you there. So thank you again, Jacques, for the opportunity of collaboration. And now, our dear friend, Manuel, Dean of the School of Engineering and Sciences at TEC de Monterrey. Manuel, please tell us about the school, the honorable School of Engineering at TEC.
All right, thank you very much, Joaquin. Thank you all for being with us. And let me say that I am delighted and grateful to be in this panel, in this conversation with my colleague Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at University of Ottawa. Jacques, it's a pleasure to be with you and to celebrate once more, as you were saying, the interactions of both universities, TEC and uOttawa, and that we have shared and cherished, and particularly in recent past few months, and that both I know that we are pushing forward. So let me describe a little bit about our school and TEC de Monterrey as well. TEC is, as you might know already, it's a private non-profit university. It is, we say, a university from society and for society, with the purpose of transforming our country and beyond through education and innovation. Proudly, former alumni have created more than 2 million jobs worldwide, started more than 200,000 companies with a revenue of about 20% of the GDP of our country, which is around $200 billion US, and started more than 30,000 nonprofit organizations, most of which are still in operation today. TEC de Monterrey is one of the most aspirational universities in Latin America, with more than 65,000 undergrad and graduate students from all over the world, and almost half of that figure are in our School of Engineering and Sciences. And so the School of Engineering is the largest of the 6 schools at TEC, comprising a little over 50% of student enrollment, including both under and graduate levels. And it is about the same proportion of faculty, reaching about 2,500 professors in total, full-time professors, researchers, and a great amount also of practitioners from industry. We are a multi-campus university operating in 26 campuses in 24 major cities in Mexico. We have 18 undergrad programs with which is our portfolio, again, including majors in sustainability, in computing and information technology, civil chemical, mechanical, electronic, mechatronic, engineering, as well as bioengineering, biomedical, and food science and food technology. In majors in science, physics, math, and data science. Graduate programs include 4 Master of Science and PhD in biotechnology, nanotechnology, engineering sciences, and computer sciences. The graduate portfolio also includes 9 professional masters in areas of in deliveries of both digital and traditional presential delivery formats in areas of applied artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, engineering management, energy, IT management, and some others. Almost 70% of tech scientific and technological productivity comes from our school, with 18 research groups, 5 national centers, and 3 innovation hubs. In the QS University rankings, we have been ranked as one of the top schools in Mexico and Latin America, and actually the world. We ranked 26 in the world in employer reputation, and we're very proud of that. In subjects such as mechanical engineering, manufacturing, electronics, and computer sciences, we stand in the top 100 in the QS ranking. So to conduct many of the things that we do, we have sponsorships and support from many national and global corporations that have supported many different initiatives, such as the innovation hubs in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data science, as well as consortiums in energy, e-mobility, campus city, endowed chairs, industrial chairs in several areas such as nanotechnology, food science, circular economy, industry 4.0, among others. So that's a briefing of our school so far. So that's my first iteration. Joaquin, back to you.
Thank you, Manuel. So we're going to continue. I just remind everyone, you can write your questions in the Q&A section, and I'll go over them when we have the moment for the questions, or you have an opportunity to do voice question directly at the end. So let's continue. And here we go. So first of all, I want to ask you about, there's a consensus that the pandemic, whatever we live, what happened in these past 2 years, has changed us. We cannot go to the same ways, the old ways or before the pandemic. There are good things, there are bad things, whatever we saw, and there was this opportunity for education, for innovation, for doing things differently, for looking at things the way we were not looking at. That maybe they were there, but the pandemic showed them to us, or made it more evident. So flexibility and other issues. So going forward, I will ask both of you, and I'll start with Jacques. Going forward, what opportunities, Jacques, Manuel, what opportunities do you see going forward into the future in terms of how we do education? How do we do the teaching and learning of engineering? All the things that you're moving forward, with all this experience for the past 2 years. What do you see? Jacques, you go first, please.
Thank you, Joaquin. And I really like the way you framed the question, that we're looking at the opportunities and the things that we're seeing. I think it says a lot about the way we both approach things. I was really worried at first, of course, like everybody else, just facing the scale of the challenge at the onset of the pandemic. We literally instantly took our course delivery online. We couldn't meet with the people anymore easily. We had to learn these new platforms, which we're now really comfortable, but we weren't at the beginning. And on top of that, we had the health risks to ourselves and our families. So I was worried we'd come out of the pandemic having fallen behind, in fact, rather than move forward. And we knew that many other faculties of engineering were innovating. We were hearing it from our industry partners. So we had a strong sense of urgency in the midst of all this. And I think probably we did the same things, we focused on our strengths. We wanted to continue what we were doing. You were in the middle of a major transformation of your teaching approaches And so we were all facing these challenges, but in the end, I think the pandemic has opened doors. And it's really accelerated our sense of the need for having an impact. We need to give our graduates the international vision they require so they can actually work together and face the big challenges that we have in the world today. So we continue, for example, to offer our international scholarship program to our students using virtual connections. And I think it's laid the groundwork for new opportunities for them as we're starting to exit the restrictions of the pandemic. Partnerships, as I said before, has been a key underlying part of everything we do. We've developed international strategic partnerships with TEC de Monterrey and with some other partners. Industry partnerships have continued to accelerate. We've done local community partnerships and we were able to bring people in and participate in student projects, even working through Zoom and working through all the tools we had. It's really pushed us to develop and offer new approaches for the courses and activities for also people who are already working in the job market, helping to reskill them. It's really brought us a focus on lifelong learning, and we broadened the scope of the people we're able to reach with the training that we're able to offer. And a lot of connections, different types of connections have been facilitated, both by the technology and as we became more and more familiar with the tools. And there was a lot of strong interest of many organizations to make use of this period to increase our connections. I think you've seen it. I think we've seen it from government, from industry, from academic international partners. And, you know, it allowed us to really finalize and launch our joint seed funding program between TEC de Monterrey and the University of Ottawa. I was surprised by the large number and pleased with the large number of researchers who were able to explore the potential research collaborations where they hadn't been looking at that before. And far more than the small number of colleagues who participated in the physical missions we had to both of our institutions prior to this. We've learned enough to be able to develop a engineering management program fully online. And I think one of the elements we really like is we were able to completely develop and launch a remote training master's program in partnership with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology in Egypt, and in the areas of AI, cybersecurity, and robotics. And we were able to improve as we were going along. And we even added a second cohort last September. We're now launching a third. And it includes projects, industry project as part of the program with companies present in Cairo and some in Ottawa. And I was in Cairo over the last 2 weeks, first trip outside the country in a long time. And we were able to participate in the graduation ceremony in that first cohort, which was extraordinary. But, you know, I think what we learned from that is while we developed and offered this program remotely, it allowed us to connect with a whole host of new potential partners. And I think that kind of a model is something that it's on the table. It's the sort of thing we're discussing between ourselves, between TEC de Monterrey and the Faculty of Engineering here at Ottawa, because I think we can so much easier connect our students and connect the industry and join industry and increase our impact.
Excellent, Jacques. You know, excited to hear all the things that you're doing and that you put forward. You know, Manuel, please let us know what do you see from here on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate very much what Jacques just mentioned, and we share it in a great deal. The pandemic has been one of the most significant game changers elements in education in recent times. But let me share with you some of the experiences that we have, some of the outcomes that we had and learnings that we got from this experience. First of all, I cannot speak of any other thing if I don't mention this. I like to call it going beyond. It refers to the incredible capacity to adapt to rough situations such as the pandemic. Our faculty, professors from all disciplines demonstrated their ability to adjust very quickly. First, to teach massively in a remote mode, as Jacques was mentioning, but within the following couple of months to really truly redesign course activities, including lab practices and program hands-on activities, putting an incredible doses of imagination and creativity, and therefore passing from teaching remotely to really start to build up a sound virtual model of education. It mattered more than ever, not only to pass information and experiences through the screen, but to have the students engage in their learning, no matter what the conditions they were passing at the time. This might sound light, but as Jacques just mentioned, this might sound light and to some extent what you expect from professionals in any university. But as Jacques was saying, if we consider that we at TEC de Monterrey were just initiating perhaps the most ambitious, challenging transformation in our educational model, we call it TEC 21, this rapid adaptation takes another dimension. I do not have time to describe what all the implicit aspects of this new educational model, but TEC 21 is a response to the quest of how the education should be brought to the 21st century with this educational model, and how to develop both disciplinary and transversal or soft skills in our students. So we were just starting this new journey of TEC 21 when the pandemic struck. It was not only the delivery of a new concept of education, but now all of a sudden in a format that no one could predict or anticipate. But nevertheless, the professors had to confront with, and that was a great learning of the capacity and the ability and the innovation and the creativity that all of staff and faculty developed. There are some other adaptation in management that I will pass, but I'd like to say that one of the elements that we change our view because of this pandemic is what we thought it was the virtual education platform. You know, we really truly got the idea and got the facts that demonstrated that virtual education in many aspects it has an advantage than on-campus education setup. And things such as students, you can have students from all over the world in a single classroom, access to lecturers, professors, and experts from anywhere in an immediate way, more agile and flexible programs, not necessarily limited to a place and time span, a broader approach to top-notch content and information. So many of these advantages came really to stay for good in our university at TEC, in our school, at least to some extent. It made us rethink investment priorities as well to continually expand education technologies, which includes specialized software, simulators, platforms, and networking, combined with remote sensing, virtual and augmented reality applications that gave the students new learning experiences, new lab practices, and the capacity to run remote class activities. We even got a patent also to remotely operate on campus lab without having to be there. There were literally thousands of open source software uses, high-end simulators, environments perform, and expansion of a lot of pilot projects such as the hologram professors and many others. Now, one authority on this subject of virtual education is Joaquin. So if we want to expand your knowledge, Joaquin is our man. It's the man to talk to. One other comment in the outreaching side. During the pandemic, we conducted many innovative research activities in record time and with very scarce resources capacity. And this was a great learning for us. What we can do in a precious situation. With the support of many stakeholders, such as companies, enterprises, chambers, foundations, local governments, and individual donors, we conducted more than 120 research projects during the pandemic, reaching several patents and developing many innovative technologies around COVID-19, from diagnosis with biosensing technologies and other non-invasive techniques, using AI to protective wears and gadgets for health personnel, therapy alternatives for COVID and its symptoms. Our school is recognized as the most or the highest industry-linked university in Mexico, particularly with private sector, industry mainly, but also with public sectors as well. So this relationship came handy, very handy at times of pressure and in a time when convergences in efforts were most relevant. I would like also to mention that the pandemic gave us the opportunity to expand in a incredible dimension to serve community. The TEC educational virtual courses and MOOCs were available for more than 260,000 students and general public for free in platforms such as the Coursera, edX, MexicoX. More than 40,000 participants in our virtual learning centers, particularly helping elementary and junior high level, levels of public education platforms, including even training in social entrepreneurship there, and a lot of different courses for kids in high school level. So in total, we reach more than 300,000 individuals with free or very low cost courses in different levels and training skills. In addition, and this is my last comment to this, and particularly with a key participation of our School of Engineering, we conducted webinars and short courses for more than 3,000 large, medium, and small companies from 17 countries, particularly in Latin America. So there were inward learnings and advantages that we saw with the pandemic and our ability to respond to it. And in the outreach side, also there was a great platform to serve the community at large as one of the missions of our university.
Excellent, Manuel. Thank you again. And I'm from hearing you. It's so exciting because again, there are so many opportunities there. But it requires the mindset to be innovative, to be open, to embrace them, to be flexible, to be resilient, to go and take them. And this reminds me of what the Romans used to say, at least that's what they say. The fortune favors the brave. And I'm very happy that I work and I partner with engineering schools that are brave, with deans like you that are brave. So in that sense, they say also that, tell me with who do you work with or who do you sit with, because that would tell me who you are, your character. So it's exciting to be able to collaborate with Ottawa, TEC de Monterrey, because that tells us who we are. And in that matter, why? Why the partnership? Why, Jacques, why, Manuel, do we find value in collaborating between our universities? So please, Jacques, tell us the whys.
Thank you, Joaquin. I hope you've been hearing that there are natural connections between our two institutions. We have our passion for experiential learning, hands-on learning of our students. And I think, from our perspective here in Ottawa, we have immense respect for the new challenge-based learning approach you have at TEC. So we're always looking at that very closely. But I think even if you look at the guiding principles we have in the Faculty of Engineering over here, including sustainability, flexibility, partnerships, I think, again, we have a lot in common. I think one thing that's very important, and it's something that I think both of us want to really look at in more detail as we move forward, is we value our industry partnerships and government partnerships too, but really value our industry partnerships as the way to improve the training of our students. And there are other aspects too, where I'm hoping we can increase our connections. I don't think we're as far ahead as you are in integrating the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals across our programs as you are, but we're quickly headed in the same direction. So we're really going down very similar paths, and we've started those connections through our seed funding program. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more, what could be in the future, how we can enhance that. there are other natural connections for anybody who has any doubts. Naturally, we're part of the partnership through the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. We're almost in the same time zone, which really facilitates connections, because the time zones has been a little bit of a challenge when we look at including international collaborations. We found ways around that, but that sometimes pops up as an issue. I think we're looking at the same challenges we're trying to address, the same research objective, and we saw that by just the sheer number of partnerships that popped up when we did launch the seed funding program. And so I think these joint projects, they make a lot of sense for our students, because they allow them to work on a common objective, but to share the different perspectives that we have from what you have at TEC de Monterrey, and from the Mexican perspective with our students here in Canada. I think that's extremely valuable. And now we're getting back into a phase where hopefully we're going to be talking about mobility and the opportunity for our students to really develop experiences that are going to be very valuable throughout their careers. But I'm not going to say too much more about that right now, and I'll hand it back to you.
Sure, we'll get that into the future of the relationship. But for now, Manuel, your view on why the importance of this relationship.
Well, in general terms, our school of engineering has three major enablers that allow us to move forward in our mission and our vision. One of them is talent attraction. That's why we are a very selective university. The second one is a strategic investment in the key infrastructure that we need to be creative and innovative. And the third one is networking, the expansion of alliances, collaborations, and networking with institutions all over the world. And in particular with University of Ottawa, we have, what Jacques just mentioned, a lot of common visions and aspirations, and not only in having the outcomes, but the process by doing that goals, or accomplishing those goals. We share, first of all, I think, a common vision in many aspects of academics and research. We share in academics, in teaching, we share that new models are necessary to engage a new generation of students into their education and the perception they have on its value. And so we strive to offer the highest academic quality and to become a very aspirational university. And this is fundamental. Now, one of the things that I think, as a broad concept, we share is that many challenges that we face as society can effectively be tackled with research and innovative developments using basically multidisciplinary approaches and alliances, particularly with industry. So with these approaches, or in top of these concepts, we also share that some of the key focus areas that we want to have a step forward, areas such as sustainability, such as exponential technologies for different applications, and quality of life, among others. We both universities have capacities on and talented people around these areas. So, academically, research, and I would say also that part of our genetics, I would dare to say that not only TEC de Monterrey, but also uOttawa, that is in our genetic constitution, is that we want to have the transfer of technology, the transfer of knowledge to individuals, to organizations, and society at large. And one of the key areas that we at TEC develop is our entrepreneurship program, which is a leverage to create value in social development. So if you take the three major reasons why universities, or our university, it's moving and having the vision towards the future. It's to have an aspirational educational second to none education destination for our stakeholders, for our prospect students. Second, to tackle and do research in key areas that we want to be a player in tackling the world challenges. And thirdly, that we want to transfer, we want to move knowledge to society at large. So that's why we really, the collaborations and the bringing together these two universities was or is very easy to accomplish.
Thank you, Manuel. I'm going to go into the last question. So we move forward to the questions. So we'll have a couple of minutes for each of you. So let's go into the how, looking into the future. Okay. So we are at this point. We work together. We are moving things forward. But into the future, Jacques, Manuel, how do you see the growth, the prospering, the making this relationship greater, bigger, what do you see into the future? How do you see it, Jacques?
Well, I think, we don't need to be optimistic. We know there's a large untapped potential for further research collaborations. We saw it when we put the call out for the seed funding opportunity last summer. We were able to fund 5 projects, but there were several more that did not get the funding in that first round, and they have huge potential, So I think that's something that we're already talking about a second round right now, and I think we're going to be getting back to that and quickly, and to say, how do we move forward with another one? There's been a big change in Canada that's been interesting. For a long time, we've been hoping for easier funding opportunities for international collaborations. And recently they announced a partnership building program by Global Affairs Canada in order to support these new collaborations, and some of our researchers that had received the seed funding, they were able to build on that and to obtain funding from the Canadian government to be able to support the research. So that's been really cool, and we've got some other ones that we're exploring that way. So I think there are some concrete things that we're able to do to enhance the collaboration. One thing that's important is we meet and talk together every 3 weeks, and we've been doing that for several months now. So we're exploring all kinds of different paths, and one thing that's going to be happening shortly is in early June, we have a group of department chairs from TEC de Monterrey who are going to be coming to Ottawa, and we're going to be working together. It's a skill development platform, something we developed before, but to me, this is a huge opportunity to create ties, to introduce ourselves, to create new links between the department chairs at TEC de Monterrey and the ones at the University of Ottawa. So I think we're putting some concrete things in place to be able to increase the links, because even though all of us have been speaking together and trying to develop these opportunities, it needs to, I think, to be sustainable, we need to create those links between the students, the links between the researchers, and that will provide us with a sustainable path forward.
Excellent, excellent. You mentioned it very important, the key between students, faculty, professors, focus on those 2 key pillars of what we do. Manuel, how do you see the future for the relationship?
Yeah, well, I like to re-emphasize what Jacques just mentioned. We have given a terrific, wonderful first step in consolidating a sound and fruitful relationship with both universities. We have currently 5 research projects running with seed funding from both universities to start a peer-to-peer collaboration. This is a collaboration bottom-up, supported by the 2 schools, and in the first benefits that we expect to have is to get to know each other a lot better than before, and therefore moving ahead not only in the project that they are conducting now, but exploring new possibilities into the future. And this is a bottom-up strategy that I'm sure will pay in further collaborations. We see increase in these collaborations in the near future, but hopefully having an additional stakeholder that might very well be a Canadian company or a Mexican company or both, which have interests or investments in either or in both countries. So that's one of the elements that I think it will foster and speed up the relationship of the two universities, having a third stakeholder that can help us, among other things, to support our initiatives and to support it with funding that is required for initiatives that create value. Now, Jacques mentioned also, we are very enthusiastic about the support that we have from uOttawa, because it will serve for the skill development, as a skill development platform for many of our leading department heads and division directors here at TEC de Monterrey, to strengthen their skills in academic management, strategic development, and other soft skills. So this is another connection between leaders of departments and the connection that they will have with our colleagues in uOttawa, and now open up again the possibilities of new projects, new initiatives, and new endeavors. We still have topics pending to expand, a more open and wide connections through a student exchange program, maybe both graduate and undergrad, and the possibility of launching perhaps a joint postdoctoral position program, and jointly seek funding to conduct research and technological developments in both countries. Again, with the participation of probably industry that has interest or investments both in Canada and Mexico. So there's a lot of possibilities. We have this vision of building a relationship bottom up, peer-to-peer, student connections, and on top of that, the opportunity that our leaders, our department heads and director divisions, in our case, in our structure of multi-campus university, have the opportunity to go to Ottawa and have directly experiences that they have in academic management and moving forward to other activities such as research and innovation. So I see with a lot of enthusiasm, the connections that we have between the two universities and the two schools.
Thank you, Manuel. So now, we have about 10-15 minutes left. So I'm going to go through the questions, if you can really make some comments on them, and then make some final remarks. On the questions that I have here, some have been answered on the chat, but I'm still going to comment on them. There are some questions that related with the seed money, with the funding. Research collaboration is key to this partnership. So there are some comments. Professor Majid comments on the possibility to increase the seed grants, because he had one last year, but he couldn't get funding. So what can we do to get more funding on that? There's also another comment on the funding. Professor Mario brought about having the funding, but limitations in terms of meeting, traveling through the support of that funding. So how can we foster more participation in that sense through the funding? And in the same point, Professor Miguel Ángel López asked how the tech researchers can access the seed funds mentioned here. So as we can see, the questions going to how do we get more funding? How do we access it? How can we enable more meetings in person, not only virtually? And one question that, Professor Mark Madu, very important. He says, how do we make a relation more balanced with more students coming to TEC, for example, face to face? Virtual is good, but also we need more opportunities for face to face meetings in collaboration. So research, collaboration. What do you think, Jacques, Manuel?
Well, I completely agree with a lot of things Manuel was saying, and I think we've been preparing and discussing a second round of seed funding as a starting point to broaden the number of projects. But I think, as you mentioned, Manuel, I think one of our objectives is to bring in industry partners. I think if we can add to what we've been doing together with some industry partners, I think we know how to leverage the support we get from industry. I think we can turn to the government and get some extra funding. We have people around us in our team that are spending a lot of time really monitoring all of the funding opportunities that we have right now, not just the seed funding we put together, but I think we want to leverage that. And I think working with some industry, I think it's one aspect that we can really do. I don't know if you want to add anything, Manuel, in terms of those aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly the same way. Yeah, we need to be very aggressive in getting the proposals with the vision of that we create value and we create innovation and we create new opportunities with the things that we engage with, and be very in a participative way with industry. We are currently, as TEC de Monterrey, working with Canadian companies. Just recently, we had a huge project from a mining company from Canada in many water assessments. That's one of the examples that I have that this is possible and this is what we're headed. Now, the conditions of investments in Mexico has it's a yin yang. On one side, we have great challenges in public fundings, and we have to really struggle through the present situation. And that it's another justifications to go beyond what traditional channels of supporting research in public sectors we have had until recent times. Now we have to go even further with our relationship with industry, and we need to be creative, we need to be aggressive, we need to be given the right opportunities for them to get interested. And I'm sure that they will support having the ideas and the projects that they require to their needs and demands. But yes, we have to look forward. Now, internally, at TEC de Monterrey, we are creating an endowment for research, for selective research projects that our community, and along with partnerships with other universities, can apply on. And this is a huge endowment, and I suspect that, and I would like for the University of Ottawa and researchers in that university, in our university, apply to that grant, to that endowment, to get funding in the future 3 or 4 months ahead. So, but yes, industry connections, industry partnerships, it's critical to bring this support that we need in terms of research, innovation, tech transfer, and some other initiatives that we have.
In terms of student mobility, we've maintained our faculty program, our scholarship program, to send student internationally, but of course it's been really difficult. It's been virtual. It doesn't help us to really build a relationship. But we've relaunched now the support for in-person travel. So that's something that we certainly want the researchers involved in the partnerships to start exploiting again. And you know, there are things in terms of mobility from our side. We do have we've reserved some scholarships from MyTax, which is an organization in Canada that supports student international travel. And so we have a few of them, specifically scholarships to help students travel to TEC de Monterrey. And because that was central to the type of relationships we want to build. So we do have some opportunities to send students over there, over to TEC right now. And, you know, there's a little bit of other support from Global Affairs, simples. We always like simple, straightforward funding that we can get quickly to be able to jumpstart the collaboration. So we keep an eye on that, and we try to share it with the researchers that we know of that are interested. But I think there are a few possibilities really in the near future where we as things open up, that we can really send our students and start to build those give more depth to those relationships.
Excellent. We almost done. I'm just going over some of the questions or comments. Professor Jose Torres commented about the announcement of the University of California opening a new campus with the possibility of international collaboration between Mexico and Canada. So he comments on the possibility that maybe TEC, University of Ottawa, University of California, who knows, you know, could be another opportunity of collaboration. So if you want to comment on, you know, our three countries, Mexico, US, Canada, because the integration of that we are in North America. And the other comment here is Professor Professor Miguel Ángel López, who says also in terms of how do we get more involved into the industry or government agencies participating in this funding, or does the professor has to do all the work, go look for them, or can we make it more feasible or easier for them to participate? You know, so if you can comment on both things, and we're almost done here. Thank you, Manuel or Jacques, whoever, you know.
Well, in terms of these last questions from Miguel, I gladly say that we don't want to be alone. We have a structure in our school to support good initiatives, and starting with our associate dean of research, and on the other hand, continuous education and consultancy. But we have several ways to connect with the industry. We have different forums. We have initiatives of such as the initiative of business developers. We have the initiative of members, membresías in Spanish. I can find the word, that we invite companies to bring and to jointly collaborate in a portfolio of projects to in the midterm. We also have connect days that we do with certain companies. So we have different areas of approaching and getting in connection with companies. So I invite you to perhaps connect with Ricardo Ramirez in our side to have this exposure. And he has also connection with colleagues in Canada that can make the selection of the right companies or the right industry to, depending upon the proposal, to do that exactly, and make the proposal available for our stakeholders.
Jacques, do you want to comment on that or add something?
Well, I can see we're out of time, and I just wanted to add one thing that we didn't discuss so far, and just to mention it, so if it rings some bell to some people, we haven't talked about entrepreneurship all that much, and that's I know that it's a big priority for you at TEC. It's a big priority for us, and I can see a lot of value in us working together to give a chance to our startups here in Ottawa to maybe have an opening into Mexico through a collaboration between us and our accelerators, and vice versa, to give a chance to startups in Mexico to be able to have a foothold in Canada. So that may be something else that we're going to continue discussing, to see how we could possibly help our young entrepreneurs, our research entrepreneurs, to have a foothold in and expand their markets. You know, that may be something we can look at.
Great. I promised I was going to give a question, a voice question. I believe Professor Pierre Verini wants to make a question. Professor Pierre Verini, are you there? I think it's muted.
Yes, this is. So I gave him access to the microphone. He just needs to unmute himself.
Okay, if you can unmute yourself, Professor Verini, and we can talk. I think we're having an issue here.
Yeah, hi.
Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you, Professor. Go ahead.
Okay, good. It's been a struggle unmuting my mic. My question is a very simple one. Professor Zertuche mentioned an endowment fund. Can you repeat the name of the endowment fund and what might be boundary conditions around the proposal to that endowment fund?
Yes, of course. As part of our new research strategy, TEC de Monterrey launched a new vice presidents for research to promote, expand, and support our research initiatives. As part of the initiatives, we're creating 3 new institutes. One for the future for the patient, one for obesity and metabolic disorders, a lot of prediction medicine, and the third one on advanced materials and manufacturing, for manufacturing. Along those areas, there's support for the best ideas, for the best initiatives, for the best programs that we can support. So there's not yet an opening for proposals, but very soon, within a couple of months, or perhaps in the middle of summer somewhere, we will have the ability to apply to that grant that TEC de Monterrey and its vice presidency is launching. So it doesn't have a particular name. It's just to support research activity for our community, but of course it's open to collaborations with other universities. And this is an internal, but it's worth to consider because it's relatively large, and collaborations are always a good point that makes a proposal more attractive. So that's one possibility.
Thank you, Manuel. Unfortunately, time's up. We're done here. However, I just want to say, everyone, thank you very much. Jacques, Manuel, thank you. Muchas gracias. Merci. It's been great to have this experience of reaching out together for an hour. Let's keep doing this. And don't forget that this collaboration will happen, will be successful because of professors. So everybody, all the professors that are here, you know, there's a great opportunity between Canada, Mexico, Ottawa, Monterrey to do great things because we are brave. So we will do it. Thank you very much. Au revoir.
Thank you, Joaquin. Gracias. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Alberto and Jacques. It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Gracias.
Bye.
Bye.